Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, titled Knowledge of the Absolute, verse number 16. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritano arjuna arto jignasurartharti jnani cha paratarshabha. Translation purport by Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. O best among the Bharatas, Arjuna, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Unlike the miscreants, these are adherents of the regulative principles of the scriptures, and they are called Sukritinaha, are those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these, there are 4 classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu defines pure devotion thus: Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavratam anukulyena krishna anushilanam bhaktiruttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. When these 4 kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them, devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, also becomes pure devotees. Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to the Lord in material distress and at that time associate with pure devotees and become, in their distress, devotees of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with the pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God and they come to the Supreme Lord to render transcendental service and thus transcend knowledge of philosophers are frustrated and transcend knowledge of the impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma and come to the personal conception of Godhead by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee. On the whole, when the distressed, the inquisitive, the seekers of knowledge, and those who are in need of money are free from all material distress, and when they fully understand that material remuneration has nothing to do with spiritual improvement, they become pure devotees. As long as such a purified stage is not attained, devotees in transcendental service to the Lord are tainted with fruitive activities, and they search after mundane knowledge, etc. So one has to transcend all this before one can come to the stage of pure devotional service. Doesn't the Bhaktivedanta purport?
Maya Prithagyana Asuri Bhavamasrita. Last day we have been discussing 4 classes of men who do not come to God. Who come to God. 4 classes of men and who do not 4 classes of men who do not come to God. The 4 classes of men who do not come to God, they are the mankind impious, foolish, lowest of the mankind, and their knowledge is taken away by the illusionary energy, and they are atheists. Namang duskitanam mudha prabaddanti naradhama maya aparhita jnana asuri bhavamasrita. We have discussed this point in detail. The next, the 4 classes of men. Artha arthati jnani cha bhartarsa. Artha jigyasu arthati jnani cha bhartarsa. 4 classes of men who are pious, but at the same time distressed, poverty-stricken, and inquirer and inquisitive of transcendental knowledge, and jnani and philosopher. Jigyasu, inquisitive and philosopher. These 4 classes of men, they come to God. Now, so far, the 4 classes of men who do not come to God, that means the impious, the foolish, the lowest of the mankind, whose knowledge has been taken away by the illusory energy, and the atheist. Apart from these classes of men, the 4 classes of men who come to God, just like artha, distress, inquisitive, arthati means poverty-stricken, and jnani means philosopher. Now, out of these 4 classes, Lord Krishna says, Tesham jnani nityajukta eko bhakti vishishyate. Out of these 4 classes men, one who is philosophically trying to understand the nature of God with devotion, with Krishna consciousness, he is vishishyate. Vishishyate means he is specially qualified. He is specially qualified. Piyo hi jnanina atyartham aham sacha mama priya. For a person who is Krishna conscious, at the same time philosophically trying to understand what is the nature of God, so he is very dear to me, Krishna says. He is very dear to me, because he has no other business than to understand what is God. Others, just like a distressed man, he is in distress, but because he is pious, therefore he believes in God, he goes to the churches or to the temple or to the mosque and prays, my dear Lord, I am very much distressed, kindly help me. But the difficulty of this person is that God does not require to be prayed for asking anything. He is pious, he is distressed, but at the same time he is foolish. Why he is foolish? Because he does not know that God is with me, within my heart. He is sitting along with me, the soul and the super soul. Both of them are sitting together. And God knows everything about me. So I do not require to pray from God to get me out of this distress. He knows everything. Why shall I pray? He leaves everything to God. He does not pray. He prays. He prays to glorify the God. How great you are. Not for his personal interest. Oh God, give me my bread, give me my dress, give me my shelter. That is also good. It's better than the person, that mudha, the foolish, the atheist, and the lowest of the mankind. He's far better. Even he's going and asking in the church, oh God, give me my daily bread. but at the same time he is less intelligent, because he does not know that God is with me and he knows everything about me. Therefore, one who is pure devotee, he does not pray to God for any personal interest. Even if he is distressed, he says, "Oh Lord, it is your kindness. You have put me in distress just to rectify me. I would have been put into more and more 1,000 times in distress, but you are giving me little, that's all. That is your great mercy." That is his vision. He does not. He is not disturbed. Tullarthamanapamana. A person who is in Krishna consciousness, he doesn't care for all this material distress or insult or honor, because he is aloof from this. He knows very well that this designation, this honor or this insult, they are pertaining to my body, but I am not this body. Just like in Socrates was condemned to death because he believed in the an immortality of the soul. So he was condemned to death and he was asked to take hemlock or something like that, poison. And the judge wanted, well, Socrates, how do you want to be put into the grave? He replied, "First of all you catch me, then you put me into the grave." You are dealing with my body nonsense. I am out of this. So you kill me or put me into the grave or whatever you like, I don't mind. First of all you catch me, then you put me into the grave. So this is one who is completely conversant with Krishna science. He knows very well, I am not this body. I am part and parcel of Krishna. My eternal relation with this Krishna. But somewhere or other, I have been put into this entanglement of this material body. All right. Now I am in sense. I get aloof from it. I am not going to be associated with the three qualities of this material nature, as we have discussed in this morning. I am not concerned with the modes of goodness, or modes of passion, and modes of ignorance. I am concerned with Krishna. Therefore, such a learned and who has understood his real position and his relationship with Krishna, he is gaining. He knows. Therefore, he is very much dear to Krishna. And Krishna always guides him. This man who is in distress goes and prays to God. That praying of God is an asset to him. But it may be when he is put into opulence, he forgets God. There is defect in that. But a jnani, one who knows, will never forget God. His business will go on, continue. Therefore, Krishna says, Tisham jnani nitya yukta. Jnani is nitya yukta. Jnani is not a jnani or man in knowledge who is not eternally engaged in the service of Krishna. There is a class of jnani, impersonalist. They say that because to worship impersonal is very difficult for us, so imagine some form of God. They are not jnani, they are fools. You cannot imagine the form of God. God is so great. That may be your imagination, but that is not the form of God. That is concoction. They are called iconographer. Iconographer. There are two classes of man, iconoclast and iconographer. Those who imagine the form of God, they are not jnani, they are iconographers. And those who think that I have killed God or I have finished God, they are iconoclast. Just like in India we had experience during British days, there are Hindu-Muslim riots. So the Hindus would go to the mosque of the Muslim and break it, and the Muslim would go to the temples of the Hindus and break the idol, and they will think that we have finished Hindus' God. Just like Hindus also will think, oh, they have broken their mosque, therefore have broken their God. These are foolishness. In another case I have got experience when there was, non-cooperation movement of Gandhi's. The people became riotous and they began to break anything government, especially the post boxes on the streets. They thought by breaking the post boxes they are finishing the post office. So these are foolishness. They are not jnani. One who has got real conception of God, they have no quarrel with each other. All the history of religious fight, Hindu, Muslim, or Christian, non-Christian, they are all ignorant. They are all ignorant. One who is in the knowledge, he knows that God is one. God cannot be Hindu, God cannot be Muslim, God cannot be Christian. God is God. He has no material qualification. It is our conception that God is such and such, God is such and such. That is imagination. That is called iconographer. So they are not jnani. They are not man in knowledge. Man in knowledge is different. He knows that God is transcendental. Just like even Shankaracharya, the impersonalist, he says, Narayana para abhaktiyat. And in this morning also, we have discussed this point that one who knows God transcendental, above these material qualities, he knows. So therefore, Krishna says here, Priyohi Jnanina Atyartham. The man who is actually in knowledge of the science of God is very dear to God. Priyohi Jnanina Atyartham Aham Sacha Mama Priya. That is the personal relationship with the devotee of God. The devotee, he does not know anything beyond God, and God also does not know anything beyond his devotee. So sweet relation. God is always after me, as we have discussed many times, that he is sitting in the same tree. In this heart I am sitting, and my friend God is also sitting, super soul, eternal. Wherever I am taking my transmigration, when I leave this body and enter into another body, God also goes there just to see what I am doing. When I shall turn my face towards him, he is simply waiting. And as soon as I turn my face towards God, he says, my dear son, come on. Sacha mama priya. Lord says, so you are eternally dear to me. Now you are turning your face to me. So I am very glad. Therefore, Jnani, one who understands the science of God, simply God is good. That is also very good. But one should understand what is it. That science of God is Srimad Bhagavad and Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavad. Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of the science of God. So, anyone who is actually interested in God, they should study the science of God. Bhagavad Gita. Vijnanam. Vijnanam means science. Jnanam me paramam guhyam jad vijnanam samannitam. In the Bhagavad there is a statement like this. The jnanam means knowledge. Paramam guhyam, very confidential, very subtle and confidential. Paramam guhyam jad vijnana samannitam, which is full of scientific knowledge. Sarhasam, it is full of mystery also. Jnanam me paramam guhyam jad vijnana samannitam sarhasam tad angancha. And how to understand the different departmental knowledge of God. Grihita gadidang maya. That knowledge can be imparted by God Himself. You cannot manufacture the knowledge of God. As you discover some scientific knowledge of this material world, similarly, you cannot discover God by such knowledge. That is not possible. The knowledge of God can be had when it is explained by God Himself or a bona fide representative of God. That is the process.